Says I'm live. It's late. But we're doing some collective unweaving right now and unraveling. I just want to see if it's live on the page. So we're also playing with new tech too. Hey, there we go. We are. We're live. We're live. We have 0 here. Cool. Looks good. Looks good on there. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. As people weave in, we're gonna just give it a couple minutes, see if anyone shows up, because I've been toggling in between like different bandwidths, and we've been doing some collective kind of like story time. Hi Holly, hi Patrice, hi everybody. We're kind of doing like a collective story time, but without tarot. Like we're just kind of navigating the waves of ascension, just to see like kind of what's coming up. I just recorded something, I'm downloading it. We'll upload it later, just about suppression and oppression. But I wanted to show up because I've got new stuff. Yeah, clear. Yeah, thank you. We've got new stuff that I'm playing with. I'm playing with StreamYard now, so I figured why not? It's up. I'm up. Let's do a broadcast. See what's going on. See how everyone's doing. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the fun. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the union. What matters here is the heart, and so we want to make sure that we're playing in the realms of the heart, that we're engaging with the heart, that we're engaging with that place of deep intrinsic knowing, right? And no lateral movements, forward movement and up, as we're changing a lot and inviting in the new. Let's see what's coming up. So we're going to speak some light language into this too. So I invite you guys to just like relax. If you want to share, you can, because we're just kind of unraveling some stories. No desire to pull cards, but to rather just kind of pick out the collective threads that are happening, and to be able to shift some things out and discuss a little bit, kind of like a little bit of a sacred ceremony, a little late night sacred ceremony for us all. We're going to be engaging with various topics on the channel now. It's something that has been invited in as a part of the newness, as a part of like what our cosmic weaving is. No, I'm not dual streaming, so I'll mention that. So basically, we're inviting in new ways to be able to create and to uncreate. So we're weaving and unweaving, dream time, the different threads and narratives. Dual streaming, no. So toggling in between different bandwidths, collective streams, different narratives, especially in regards to struggle and the future of humanity. And so I've been kind of like diving in and out of different streams of consciousness, just kind of playing with the momentum, playing with the motion and seeing what's coming forward. And as a result, I just kind of wanted to come live and see what's popping up within the field to discuss, to unravel. Yeah, especially when shame. Shame's a good one. Shame, blame, guilt, and martyrdom. So let's catch the thread of shame, right? What's going on with people shaming themselves or shaming others as a result of who they are? There's, when it comes to the collective pieces that we're putting back together of ourselves, right? Especially when it comes to like exile, which has been a big one, right? Is like, oh, if I show up in my truth, right, I'll be cast out, blamed, judged, or criticized for being who I am, which is a false accusation, right? Like that we all at some level have held, right? Which holds a lot of control in the narrative where we're not allowed to just show up perfectly as we are, right? And so especially persecution is another one that's from this. When we persecute ourselves or one another for our belief systems, what we're actually doing is we're giving ourselves an opportunity to play in a lot of extreme divide and extreme division, right, in our own lives. And so if we're campaigning against atrocity, that's one thing, but we have to look at where we're still playing in victim or where we're still blaming one another for something that occurred, rather the embodiment of who we are as creation and as creator, and where we're choosing to consciously uncreate certain stories, especially in regards to fear, right? So as we are propagating the newness, we end the separation and the divide from awakening within, where we're still consciously creating or consciously participating in certain storylines, right? We have to come from a place of malevolence. Yeah, see, good versus evil is still a dualistic construct. And if we play in the divide, we're still playing in separation. It's like, it's even that so when it comes back to source, right? If we are to go through the layers of separation, right? So if we're looking at everything from a 3D lens and we're looking at what's going on in the world, no doubt about it, we could, I myself could do it, right? I could place blame on other people. I could say that all this stuff is occurring because of this person, or they did this or they did that. But like, if I dissolve the intermediaries and I take the lesson, right, and I go all the way back to source with what's occurring, and I renew that connection and stabilize that connection to source, I know that it's actually a part of the pathway, it's a part of the plan. Especially things like the divide, right? Because in the realms of yep, story time with Corey, pretty much. As we're working through all the divide within the collective, we experience our own separation from within, guys. Okay. As we are experiencing the separation, it requires us to feel fully the separation that we're still holding, right? So what starts to happen is we begin to play with the realms of emotion. All right. And yes, integrity. It does require integrity to honor the soul and to listen fully. Okay. To understand and listen fully to the soul, what the soul needs in every now and moment. Because your soul compass, which is a part of your blueprint, is awakening to the fact that you are within the realms of awakening and ascension. Okay. I know it seems like we're kind of getting in and out of topic, but this is what the collective weaving is. When it comes to the divine blueprint, okay, for you guys, for all of us out there, is that there's specific requirements that occur when we activate our blueprint. When we activate our blueprint, it's an assemblage of codes, light letters, frequencies, tones, hues, bandwidths that radiate through the form, that activate our DNA, that activate our subatomic particles, right? That affects our spin rate, and it affects our choice and our decisions throughout the day. Okay, so as a result, right, collective fear, collective trauma, collective struggle, collective strife is all a part of something that needs to be delicately unwoven from our internal processes so we can awaken to what this new is, right? So when we're looking at like fear campaigns, when we're looking at false flag campaigns, this is something I've been seeing, is when you can hear it in the field, right? Full spectral analysis on that. When we're in the field and we're hearing it, we can hear how there's these storylines or there's these pockets in the collective, right? I'm glad we got here. There's these pockets in the collective of like misuse of energetic systems. These pockets, right, create an ability or what we would call a trigger or a spark. I just heard it right now, right, as we're working with the collective field. False flags have been going around everywhere. As a result, we see it as a trigger point or a catalyst to create a reaction to fuel the system. Divide and conquer strategies, right? What can we do to, it's kind of like, think of it like a little, like a energetic landmine that's laid out. So when we step on it, it explodes. There's a reaction. And as a result, everyone goes into, fight or flight campaigns and fear propagation, right? And I see it everywhere. We can hear it in the field. I hear it in my relationships, right? It's like these storylines of chaos, these storylines of like, hey, believe this, right? It's like it's the white wolf and the black wolf. Like, which wolf are you feeding? But recognizing that this is occurring, right? So we have to look at is where are we still propagating fear in our own life, right? And remember that the fear itself is a part of the pathway to align us to that of love, or that of forgiveness, or that of wellness, or that of wholeness, right? But we have to make the conscious choice to step out of the campaign, to step out of the false flag, the fear. As the coyotes are going crazy right now. I love it. Right when I stopped, the coyotes went nuts, right? As I was hearing this earlier, I was in communication with someone and I could hear the false flag. It was like they were sitting here telling me a story, right? And there was an underlying theme, or there was a current of energy behind the story that was propagating some really like weird tale. Well, one thing is now I have to dive into the realms of imagination, which we all do. Like, why would we believe a story like that or create a story like that? Why would we witness it? And how can we begin to target it and unravel it, right? Because the thing is that when we respond or react to fear, if we respond or react to anger, we respond or react to violence, right? What are we doing? We're propagating discord. And what does discord do? It creates separation. And so as we're dissolving this, we have to see it and just see it for what it is. And what can we do when we encounter it? We can map it off. We can transmute it, right? We could work with energy like the violet flame, right? We could work with our light to produce new. We can also see it and unravel it and just see it for what it is and go, okay, awesome. Right. And like all of this is like, it's kind of like a test or an initiation point to see how well aware we are of the gaps and the measures of divide that exist within the collective, especially in regards to what's going on. Because as the systems loosen their grip and we're all softening and allowing now, and we're surrendering, right? And on every level, surrendering to the fact that there is a way, that there is a path, that there is a plan, right? We can begin to witness when we see this and we're like, oh, like I don't have to consciously play in that. Like if you want to go into the La Brea tar pits, you can. If you want to go into the sand pits and the quicksand, you can, right? But you don't have to. Think of it like a realm of discovery that you can dive into. But then we start to see how this like appeals to the collective as well, where it's like, are we going to be reactionary? Or are we going to take a moment to pause, to take a step back and come from a place of observer? Now I recognize not everyone is conscious, right? Not everyone is conscious. Not everyone is, well, no, here's the thing. Let's end that whole debate, right? Everyone is conscious. They're just holding their own level of consciousness. Right. So for some of us that know things about like observation and neutrality and meditation and transcendence at whatever level, right? We can understand that like a part of the gap here is that we observe that there is a gap, but we don't have to play into it. So what we can do is fall into the liminal and allow it to dissolve fully from ourselves, especially when it comes to collective fear, right? And this is something I've been hearing a lot, and I just heard it pop up again in the field. It's this collective bargaining chip. Right. And I wonder what this thread or this narrative is, what this bargaining chip is. It's like an end to divide through monetary means or monetary gains. Is it a gift of benefit from a benefactor to give you the opportunity to play in some sort of division? Right. So we have to look at lack and struggle narratives, and we're still playing into that, and where someone could try to carrot on a stick us from not fully embodying or seeing or witnessing our truth. Right. So what are these collective agreements with bargaining chips? Right? It's, hey, I give you this and you shut up. Hey, I give you this and you show up in a different way than I want you to. Right? Like, so if it is filling a lack and it's filling a void or filling a hole within you and within your concepts and within your belief systems, awesome. Right? But are you opening up to subjugation? Or are you allowing yourself to be who you are as the sovereign self and as the freedom unified you, the free unified you? Okay. Disaster. Why? Like, do you know, like I just heard it right now, disaster strikes. No, it doesn't. Does it have to? You know, once again, we're listening to the field here. Like, and why are we still playing these stories of creation? Right? Why do you still believe that some mass event or mass genocide is going to occur? You're a conscious freaking creator here, people. Why would you want to create that story? Why do you want to create a story where monsters come out and eat us alive? Why would you want to play into the zombie apocalypse? Do you enjoy that? Do you really think it's funny? Okay. Think about it. So there is global phenomenon that's occurring on Gaia. Like we just saw it in Tonga, right? Let's look at it as Gaia's expression. Because even myself, I'm like, oh man, we don't need these things. We don't need these things. But also the devas have an expression too, because it's a part of a universal balance that's coming through to awaken humanity. So this one is where it's a little tough, because it's like we have to look at, is the disaster man-made or is it Gaia related? So on and so forth. Let's go back to source. Okay. We're coming back to the good and evil thing. We're coming back to the blame game. We don't need to play there. We're done with the divisiveness. We're done with the division. So if we go back to source, why is this occurring? It's a part of the pathway. But then us as conscious creators can begin creating new. So what we do is we soften the elemental structures, right? We don't need the harsh to learn, right? And those that need that to learn, that's going to be a part of their pathway, but it doesn't need to be a part of the collective experience unless that's what the collective needs. And this is why we're trying to shift the pendulum or the bell, right? If we see the bell of awakening, that you're here, or you're somewhere on the spectrum on the bridge, right? Is how can we all effectively, autonomously, and sovereignly, is that a word? Sovereignly, move towards the other end of the pendulum so we don't have to have these things occur that keep shaking us awake. But this is also what we'd speak of the bifurcation cycle, right? Because we knew that this was going to be occurring, and the bifurcation, it's like it's the split and the divide, and the gaps come closer and closer together, where we're all coming into a collective softening, right? But there's still experiences and lessons I need to go through. Yeah. So yeah, we have to withdraw from certain concepts, such as debate, such as win and lose. That's a big one. Competition, right? It's like we were all chosen to be here. We were all chosen to awaken during this time. We all chose to be a part of the ascension pathway, whether you believe it or not. We all chose to be here, and we all chose to sign up to come here to belong to this experience. So now that we know, right, that we're going through this collective awakening and this collective unraveling, can we begin to play with the realms of imagination and begin imagining a way to create in such a way where we don't have to have so much strife and discord and controversy, where we can soften the collective body and the experience can just be a little bit more forgiving and nice on ourselves? But we have to look at the realms of resistance, where we're still holding on to, like, I need to prove myself, and man gets glory through wound, or punch me in the face and see what, like, we don't know. No. Maybe for some, you can offer yourself the opportunity to help right now by assisting yourself to feel better right where you're at and to feel safe with who you are, right? Because we have this collective trauma response that's occurring, guys. We have, collective pain and collective victimhood that's been playing out for eons of time. And it's like so deeply ingrained that it's just so easy to fall into that cycle, right? And then involving back into the realms of persecution, right? The angry discord, the distrust in society, the distrust in one another, right? Which by all means, understood, right? Understood. Can you trust yourself now? Can you trust yourself? If you're resonating at this frequency and you're in here, I'll tell you this, you can trust yourself now. What you have to trust is your keys of discernment that exist within you. Right? Trust the keys of hope for yourself that exist within you. They do. They do exist within you. So collective discernment. Rather than trusting one another, can you trust yourself again? Can you trust your knowing? Can you trust your pathway? I know. That's why you have to listen softly to yourself. You also have to begin witnessing and listening to your pain. You have to listen to how you approach yourself and how you approach others. Because there's a voice within you of courage. There's a voice of hope. There's a song of freedom that exists within you, and it's been emanating a song to you through your form. But are you listening? It takes quiet and stillness, which means we have to eliminate distraction. It's easy to eliminate distraction. What do? Do nothing. It's easier said than done for many, right? Because we're built in realities of distraction. Some people have families. Some people have jobs they need to get to. Right? Some people are listening to their surroundings and they are their own voice. Now, if you're listening to your surroundings, you're cueing into something. It's a reality you built, but is the reality the reality you're listening to right now, is it a reality that you built yesterday, or is it a reality that you're building from this now moment? Is it congruent or incongruent with the truth that exists within you? Is it old or is it within new? So we also have to look at how we're approaching listening to our environment. So if you're listening to your environment, you're paying attention, right? Especially if you're in a place where a lot's going on. How do we silence the noise? Because it's everywhere. Gotta deepen our practice. So the deepening of the practice is get earplugs out. Right? Listen to some music. Binaural beats help a lot. Look at brainwave activity. Right? Look at your adrenals. Look at your central nervous system. All of these things are going to cue you into why you're so observant or hypervigilant to your surroundings, rather than being and witnessing the knowing from within you, which is the sound of the soul, the song of the essence that's telling you what's going on within you, not outside of you. So is with what's going on outside of you, is it reflective of who you are now or who you were in a few moments past or in a prior lifetime? Or is it a future version of you? And the noise can be in our mind. Hey guys, the noise can be in our mind. Yes. And a good key there, silencing the mind and listening to the soul. But also knowing that this in itself, the neural pathways, is also giving us the opportunity to hear things, because this is responding to our environment as well. Our entire biofeedback systems, our entire body is responding to the consciousness around us, including the collective. So the noise of our mind, what is going to propagate stillness and wellness and peace within our own lives? I too have dealt with this noise as well. And there's a lot of things that have shut off this noise. And it's going to be individuated for the person. Right. This is why it's important for us to tune in and to listen, to not give our power away to someone else to tell us exactly what it is or what we need to do. Take your keys of mastery back. Take your keys of empowerment back. And know that you know what you need to do. I don't need to tell you. Your father doesn't need to tell you. Jesus Christ don't need to tell you. You need to know. And you can know. But we have to find stillness from within as well. So what propagates an opportunity to rest? To rest within the body again. What do we need to eliminate from our lives so we can repair these fractures, right? There's a crack in the foundation. Okay, there's a crack in the foundation. All right, let's seal it with gold, right? Let's lose the soul imprint. Let's regain the new value system, right? If you're valuing someone else or you're valuing money over the sound of your own peace, let's look at that. We need money to live and survive. I get it. I do. You're talking to someone who definitely knows. But also, too, is I know that there's a balance point in these trajectories where we can actually receive and be held and supported and loved and witnessed and taken care of, and be able to listen to ourselves and live within the realms of peace. Right? The breath is really good to work with here. And deepening the breath and deepening the stillness, deepening the calm, deepening the quiet. Creating that routine for yourself to just say, this is my silent zone. How can I get out of my head today? How can I come back into the heart? Yeah, see, I can hear myself sometimes at night. Yeah. It's where is that pocket or gap for you to be able to silence the noise, especially in a world filled with sound, right? The hills are alive with the sound of music. So is the neighbor's dog. So is the baby, right? So is the child. We're coming back to peace now. Collective struggle. Yeah. Ooh, shifting the narrative, right? Collective struggle. Pressure point or squeeze, guys. This just came up in the last threading I was doing. Collective struggle, that narrative, right, is a collective squeeze. Think about struggle. Why do we struggle? Because something appears to be negative that's meant to be positive, right? We struggle when we're in fear. We struggle when we're in victimhood. We struggle when we feel like we can't get out of a certain situation. Let's look at quantum entanglement. Let's look at subjugation. Let's look at control, which a lot of these processes can go really, really deep within. It's not as simply saying it's done, right? There's physical body processes, right? There's so much that ties into this. So this is by no means just a one-way solution to this thread, right? But as we're navigating this, right? As we're navigating these different realms, yeah, I know we should have panelists. As we're navigating the different realms of struggle in our own lives, we're trying to open up to thriving. But even the word try right there, bam, Another thread, another narrative struggle. Like to have to try to thrive, it's like allowing thriving to occur. I know it's a lot more complex than it seems. I agree, right? But it's the appearance of it because we're working with an illusion, right? So even those constructs, right? Even if they're built with a whole bunch in the way, like right, we can one by one start taking those blocks and going, okay, here's a block that's right there, right? We can see it as a building block. Let's take out that block. Let's remove it. Like, let's look at it. Let's zoom in on it, right? What is this belief system? Because when it comes to collective struggle and our own individual struggle, it can be quite a complex system to navigate, right? Especially when there's a lot that's got in the way. Trauma bonds, abuse, attachments, because we're looking at opening up to flow. So if you have connection points, right, that are blocking flow or creating anarchy or discord in your own lives, and you're like, I'm trying to get into the higher narrative. I'm trying, but like I really still love fighting my boyfriend, or I really love arguing with my mom, or I really love to hold on to some of these. You have to look at too, what is the narrative gifting you? If we see it as nutrition for the body and nutrition for the soul, it's giving you something. What is it? Is struggle giving you an excuse to not do more? Is struggle? I know it's okay. This is a trigger point of awakening. It's a pain point or a pressure. And if we look within the pain and we listen to the pain and we respond with kindness to the pain, right? We recognize we can undo the wounding through love. We can actually unravel it from a place of kindness and forgiveness from within, especially in regards to struggle. But we have to stop making excuses to keep playing in pain and torture and begin involving ourselves in new levels of friendships and kindness with self, right? You don't have to engage in those old relationships and those old people over and over again. You have free will. You have freedom. You don't have to play in that fear. Give yourself all the freedom right now and just let go. And just soften. What we're doing is this is when it comes to conflict resolution, right? Is recognizing where we hold conflicting nature within ourselves and begin bringing balance to that polarity and begin residing at a new quality and a new tone of those fractals that we're talking to right now. There are fractals that exist within this universe that don't get along. But we can come in and be the peacemaker and bring in peace to that division and be the bridge to unify that gap, right? Think about two codes that are just having a misfire. It's a sequence, right? Neurons. What we're doing is we're just bridging the circuitry to offer and unlock a new neural pathway, right? So when we unlock a new neural pathway, we're gifting ourselves a new routine, a new opportunity to do new. We're accessing new realities. And so it can feel like a pain point, right? But what it is, it's a pressurization, right? That begins to create a new discovery for yourself. We're opening up a new door. And these are doors of kindness, right? Because love itself, the expression of love, healthy, balanced love is sometimes saying no. Sometimes love is forgiveness. Sometimes love is us walking away. You get to define the love and you get to harmonize with the love. But you can come back to a place within you where you can feel secure in who you are. Feel secure in who you are. Balance. Anyway, shifting out of that one. Love you guys. Balance, 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 balance. Okay, we'll go here. Balance, balance, balance. There's so much opportunity right now to bring balance into our own lives. Hey, Dana. So much opportunity to bring balance in our lives. I was just hearing balance what you eat, drink, and do. I want to talk about this a little bit. there was a time in my life. Now we're kind of going into collective story time. If this thing is still alive and on right now. Cool, there we go. We'll do a little collective story time. It's a personal story of Corey, as we just quickly unraveled some stuff. There was a moment for myself where I was awakening. Okay, I was going through a lot of mental health wards, behavioral health stuff, a lot of rehabs, a lot of psychosis, a lot of suicide. I'm still here though, and I'm grateful for what I went through and experienced. I was in a delusion. I was in a I would say delusion. To me, I was deleting the illusion. I was piercing the veil, and it was through psychotropic medications and drugs. Okay, so as a result, I was checking myself into the ER, and I went up to this Coke machine to buy a soda, right? Because it's like typical. You go into the waiting room, you got the little band. You're sitting there. You want a sandwich. You're hungry, right? You go out. You have a cigarette, and you go to the soda machine right there on the side of the Coke machine. Balance what you eat, drink, and do. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so easy. Balance what you eat and drink and do. Because we're looking at right now, the universe is all about balance. Okay, back to this. The universe is all about balance. And as we are going through the processes that we are, right? So as we're stimulating a new recovery model, right? A new approach to awakening, especially in regards to the body and how the body holds consciousness, we're looking at balance, right? So when we go night side, right? If you've been playing too dark in the or too much in the unseen, too much in the dark, right? The unseen, it's time for yourself to be seen. If you've been playing all in the light, right? Like it's like where do the shades come into balance to bring balance to the fractals and hues of you, right? So if I say certain keys to you, right? If I mention things like certain shadows or certain elements, right? Certain polarities. What does the polarity invite within you? So if I say shadow, how do you feel about shadow? If I say light, how do you feel about light? That's going to facilitate and tuning you into where you need to bring things into balance in your own life. A balanced perspective, because the balanced perspective itself is going to give us an opportunity to fully integrate and have a wholeness perspective and approach to what's occurring, right? So as we're going through the unification and we're going through our acceleration cycles, right? Planetary ascension is all about balance. Expansion through integration, which means that all parts coexist in the now, come back, return to the form, and we propagate the eternal wholeness or the eternal wellness from within. What is that? It's just source spark. It's free of the architecture, right? So we're freeing ourselves from the identity, the architecture, the archetype, and we're moving into a place of just essence. It's just like expansion, right? And even in the realms of animism, we're constantly experiencing consciousness. We're constantly interacting with consciousness. So if we have any sort of separation or divide within consciousness or interacting with consciousness, frequency, hue, bandwidth, right? Formless or form, right? If we have any sort of discord, we're not fully playing in unity. And so what we do is we step into the unified field. We go through and we play in the realm of unity. And then as soon as we experience separation, okay, I experienced separation. Pull back now. Let's unravel, right? Let's trust. Let's trust the unraveling. And let's come back into a place of unity. We have to know when we're done playing in the separation and expand back into the unified essence. So then the question is as we're doing this, what brings you back to unity? Nature, trees, stillness, breath. A warm cup of coffee or a hug. Oh my gosh, hugs are the best, right? Coffee and hugs are the best when it comes to experiencing separation. It's like, what is going to bring comfortable kindness to you to be able to feel whole again? Because when we're speaking of unity or unified, we're speaking of wholeness and wellness. Right? So to experience wholeness is we have to feel comfortable in wholeness, especially if we feel like we're underwater, right? So if we're like floating really deep in the sea. Okay, so if you're floating really deep in the sea and you're just like kind of just going through the motions of multidimensionality, or you're experiencing like a great strengthening or a lot of division, it's like, how can you float and belong there and just allow the tide to carry you where it is? This is a process of allowing. This is what we would call surrender, right? Which means that you're undergoing a process right now. You're unfolding, you're unraveling. And as you're unfolding and unraveling at greater and greater levels, right, the process will naturally take form or formation. Right, so let's look at organic flow. Okay, organic flow. Plant the seed in the soil, give it water, the elements take care of it, nurture, and it will flourish organically. You don't have to force the petals open. You don't have to do freeze-dried cucumbers. Someone's hungry right now. I think we're planting a vegetable garden. planting a vegetable garden with someone, something it's just surrender to that flow, right? Surrender to that flow. Surrender to that flow. Like, we don't have to struggle into unification. We can flow into unification. So we have to look at resistance because we have to look at harmony, retuning, right? Harmony and retuning. Okay. So guys, if I were to pull out my guitar right now, it's too late because I can't play guitar too late, right? And I am to drop tune one string. And if I'm playing a chord in standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E, right? And I'm playing an E chord. If I take the G and I make it a G flat and I keep that chord and I flow with it, you're going to hear the discord because we just went through a detuning. So we go through processes of retuning a lot, right? Because we kind of sometimes we need that slack to occur within the string to kind of soften, to retune and to sharpen our senses, right? So if you're feeling off or you're looking for clarity, right, you're going through a retunement process. But just allow it organically because as you are the instrument with the divine, so you're not the instrument of the divine, right? So surrender all possibilities and moves. You are an instrument in coordination and in concert with the divine. Your process of retuning, your frequency, going through your process, it's organic, it's intelligent, it's light encoded. It doesn't have to be or do anything, actually. It requires nothing, but we have culture, we have tradition, we have ethics, morals, value systems, we have judgments. And so as a result, that creates friction in us being able to harmonize fully with that like organic elemental structure. But the thing is that organic elemental structure can support you. It can. It's the belief systems that get in the way or the limitations. So it's the perceptions of you or the perceptions of self or the perceptions of I, the perceptions of we, the perceptions of the experience that are creating the limitation or the lack for you to be able to surrender fully. If I were to tell you, right, so let's play with the realms of imagination, guys. Come on, creators, let's do this. Creators. Okay, creators. Let's play in the realms of dreams and imagination. I could tell you that you could do anything you wanted to do, including just sit there and do nothing and be supported, would you? Could you? Well, all your wells are limitations, blocks, limitations, perceived limitations, illusions, right? So if we want to deconstruct those, we have to begin believing new from within and then allowing the reality to support that. So can we trust? Can we trust? No. Okay. Why can't you trust? Why can't you trust? Why can't you trust? What tells you that you can't? Or better yet, who tells you you cannot trust? Is it mom or dad? Is it a version of you? Is it a belief system? Because the true essence of you isn't going to create a framework. This will, or the pain of yesterday will create the framework, which is gifting you the excuse to belong to an old belief. So we don't have to allow the program or the belief system to hold the power anymore. So if the power is within our hands of the soul light essence or the light body or Gaia, whatever it is that you want to work through, right? Is that we have to take our power back, pull back from the trigger, pull back from having to respond to the trigger, and belong back to the essence. This has happened to me recently, actually, where I've been sitting in the trigger. Trigger warning. Corey's triggering people right now. Breathe into it. I love you. Love you. Love you. There's been moments recently where there's been some issues with triggers, and I've been feeling them too. And like it was last night I had this moment where it was like I could not respond to the trigger. I had to activate a new way of responding to a trigger, which is just sit there and just be like, and eventually it fell away. Right? So I harnessed a little bit of anger. I felt it. It was funny because, the person I was with was like, I sensed some hatred. And I was like, oh, good one, hatred. That's a good one. Let's go into hatred, right? And it's like I just sat with the trigger. And as I sat with the trigger, I was like, oh my gosh, I keep giving the power away to the trigger. I keep giving my power away to the belief system. So I was like, let's reclaim all that energy. Pull it back, pull it back, pull it back, pull it back. Right? I don't have to give my power away to the program, right? So it's like we're kind of like, oh, well, are we bypassing? Is that spiritual bypassing, or are we skipping a lesson? No, you're just breathing into the eternal. You have a choice point in the narrative. Higher light overlay, higher light override. I can choose the positive polarity, and I can take that pathway back to source. I don't have to play in this stuff. You have conscious free will choice as a creator. And as a result of this, it's like, okay, I see a program, I witness it. No, I don't have to respond to it anymore. I don't have to let this thing create divide between me and another person, especially someone I love, or especially from freedom and unity and peace. And so we have to keep our eyes on the target, our eyes on the prize. What's the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because when we're navigating forward and we're trying to not go into lateral movements, right? Interference occurs. We have interceptions all the time, right? Game on. You know what I mean? All you have to do is go talk to your mom and dad during Thanksgiving. Why did you go to Thanksgiving, right? Or just say any holiday, because we don't want to go in there. Why do you go to a relative's house for dinner? Because you want to have a relaxing, fun time. But what happens? Auntie gets a little too schwasty. She says some shit, and it pisses you off. Damn it. Auntie said that shit again. Okay. Auntie, are we going to allow that program, that belief system, to get in the way from us being able to fully just embody the essence of why we're there? Right? So we have to look at when we're playing with creation and we're playing with all this stuff and we're playing with all these different moons, you know, the father, the mother, the daughter, the mother, the bride, all the blah, 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 right? Is like, why are we here? Give yourself the opportunity to go, why am I here? Why am I here? What is the essence of the creation of why you've created that moment? And take your power back from the program and just respond with kindness. Breathe. And sometimes we have to separate. Like for myself, I have to go for a walk. I'll just say, I'm sorry, I got to go right now. It's not personal. Because I recognize that when I'm communicating with people and a trigger or program occurs, and here's the thing, the program wants me to react. What? Yeah. It wants me to react because it wants me to keep the program alive. I see it. Okay, I don't have to respond to it. I don't have to react to it. I can back off and I can love myself a little bit more. Yeah. So this is beautiful. I'm gonna highlight this. Organic intelligence said, then every time I felt the feelings coming up from the program, I would say, I feel this and it's okay and I don't need to do anything. Yes, you don't need to do anything. You can just let it fall. Just let it all just kind of just wash away and fall away. We don't have to react. We don't have to respond. Because see, reactivating, right? Sometimes those lessons are learned. And we don't need to go through it anymore. You just go, I see you. Wash my hands and let it go away, right? There's a natural repair process that occurs, especially as we're going through timeline shifts and timeline adjustments, right? Right? So you're like, here I am, I'm propagating new, right? I'm activating new realities. I'm activating higher reality streams, whatever you want to call it, right? Because we're still playing in the quantum, we still play measurement, guys. We still play measurement. We're humans, right? It gives us depth, it gives us perception. So we do measure, right? Is that like we're operating, we're calling forward the new. And then the test or the initiation on the choice point is, hey, here's an old theme. You gonna play it? Here's an old story. You gonna say yes to it? Create a new routine for yourself. Start doing things new. This has been such a theme the past couple of days, and it started with a shout out to Spacetime Creator, General AI. He talked about this in his live stream yesterday, his morning teaching. Andrew's a wonderful man. Go check him out. Spacetime Creator. He was doing some adjustments to things, and we were talking about new routines to harmonize with new clocks, with new dimensions and new realities, right? And so we also, you know, a big thing for me is switching up the routine little by little every single day. And it's been helping to just do things new, like walk a different path. What happened for me the other day was I was walking, I normally walk on the right side of the street. I was walking on the right side of the street. And that's where I normally walk on my way back from the gas station when I'm doing my meditative walk to go get pizza. So it's not really meditative walk. It's just basically like Corey's listening to me. Like I say it's a meditative walk, and I know it probably sounds like Buddha is just like, but it's like, no, Corey went and got pizza, and he's listening to his music on the way back home. Still a meditative walk, nonetheless. But like I always walk on the right side of the road on the way home, so I'm walking with the flow of traffic, and I chose to consciously dive into the other side of traffic and then walk in the middle side of the road. And it's like, why did I do that? Well, what I was doing was I was breaking down my own programming. Because if I have a limitation or a structure, I have a program that is repetitive, I have to break the pattern. So a part of that is like, wearing new colors. That's a big one, right? That's a big one for me. Like wearing new clothes, and not because it's like fashionable and it's hip and it's trendy, but like new colors activate new levels of awareness, right? Because colors to me give me emotion, and it also it's art. I just wear my art, right? But like, so those little switch and routines and patterning propagates new. And so what we're doing is, once again, back to neural pathways, right? Is like if we create a new action, we can create a new thought, and as a result, we can create a new result. We can create new realities that way. And so like it's like there's all this discussion of the new, but then there's this, how do we practically embody the new? Right. And even for myself, I've been talking about the new for so long, and I'm like, yo, I'm still in the same spot. Well, something's got to change, right? I've changed the belief structures, I've changed the energy. I've changed the viewpoint. I've changed the friends. I've changed the family. I've changed my RV. I've changed my living room. I've changed where I've slept. Well, where is this new? Okay, now we have to look at routine. We have to look at body. We have to look at everything that is, and yeah, I was jaywalking, by the way, Amber. Yes, I was. Is that it's like we have to look at if we're propagating new, if we're awakening to new, but we're not quite there. What is it? Are we still in transition? Best believe the transition through all of the polarity takes a while. Okay, so we have to look at those things, but we also have to look at like what can we do to also embody the new, because it's not just walking, or it's not just talking it, it's walking it. Embodiment, it's got to be in the body. The body has to carry the action forward, right? Because this is the vessel that holds the consciousness. But like we also have to begin stimulating new, propagating new, right? And so then it comes to new routines, changing environments, changing topics, changing whatever. Just change what you listen to. Especially when it comes to social media and devices. We're not gonna get there. Okay. But yeah, so the new pathways, new routines, and I noticed it. I said, what are you doing here? Okay, all right. Just making sure friends of the family are coming in. I was like, who the fuck are you? With love, with love. The new routines coinciding with new belief systems are going to create new behaviors, new actions, new, right? And so it's like there is this as we're walking through dimensions in the form, is like we recognize that our biorhythms are clocks, maps that adjust to certain bandwidths and hues. And when we're propagating or activating a newer reality stream or a newer thread of consciousness, there is a physical embodiment phase of it that requires us to act within the new too, which means we show up new, right? And it's a practice. Daily routines, daily little things can switch. Taking a different route to work, guys, big one. Accessing new grids, going to a new park, meeting a new person. Define the limitations of your belief by standing up forward, right? Standing up, front and center, come on, front and center, and showing up as the light, showing up in this newness. You can be kind to a stranger. That's funny. No. Okay, now we just got funny people in the reality right now. I love you, but no, we're not doing that. Be kind to a relative. Be kind to a stranger. Give someone a high five, a handshake. Smile at someone. You can offer yourself new by changing up your routine first thing in the morning. Right? So look at your patterning. Look at your conditioning. What do you do first thing when you wake up in the morning? Now, can you do the polar opposite of that and feel comfortable doing that? Ooh, you feel that? Yeah, I know. You feel that? Do everything completely opposite of what I normally do? Okay. All that feeling state that's existing within you when I just said that, that's right there. Your freedom lies beyond that feeling. So then it's, what do I do now to be able to propagate this freedom in my own life? Well, give up the routine. Try something new, and don't fixate to a routine. So what we're not doing is we're not trying to replace linearity with more linearity, right? We want to alter the quantum flow, but we also want to untangle and detangle from our current environment and our current situations, right? Including social status. That's a big one. That's a big one, especially if you're like in the lower income class. Okay, so here's a big one, guys. We're gonna go into this one. This is a big one. I'm glad we're bringing this up now. Division between social classes in socioeconomics, right? Self-worth and self-value. When you come from like a struggle narrative in the lower income class, like anyone else gone through this? I don't know how many people are watching that have gone through lesser than scenarios, right? Okay, so here's a good one. Walking into a government office, not showering for 3 weeks because you're homeless. You will definitely feel it then. Like, oh, I'm out of sync here. I don't belong here. That's what we're talking about, right? The thing is as we're trying to up-level our trajectories and we're trying to up-level our life paths, trying to invite in new, especially in regards to self-worth and self-value and like a sustainable income, right? So we can all feel like we're being supported and held comfortably in who we are. Is that, yeah, shame, right? Have you ever gone up to someone who's wearing a Rolex or driving a Ferrari and you felt everything from within, whether it was judgment or whether it was like, I want that, but I don't know how to get her. I'm not worthy of having that. That's a big one. And this happens between income structures, classes, right? Classes. You can see this. Yeah, Subterranean Homesick Blues. Who is that? Subterranean Homesick Blues, Bob Dylan. Is we can start to look at where people aren't positioning themselves in an environment where they could truly flourish and shine just as they are. So we're looking at environmental structures, right? So yeah, it's like, yeah, things like organized religion. We have to, okay, anyways, we have to look at what's getting in the way from us being able to fully be able to stand in our self-worth and self-value, but we also have to know when we've outgrown our container. Okay, guys. So there's a cap that can occur, right? It's like when you are planting a flower, if you put it in too small of a pot, all of a sudden what, it outgrows the container, right? The roots can't deepen, so it can't flourish. It just kind of hits a cap, right? So if you found that you've expanded to the point that you've expanded, you now have to begin to dive into a new room, right? Into a new belief system, a new trajectory, a new pathway. You have to create a new breathable environment for you to be able to fully flourish, right? So you also have to look at, if we were to speak of this as fishing, right? And not in some weird way, but like, we're kind of going esoteric here, a little bit, kind of. Analogy, symbolism, whatever, metaphor, blah, blah, blah. If you're fishing in the same pond over and over again, you're not getting a bite. Got to go to a freaking new pond, guys. Or you got to change up your fishing style, right? And you can keep doing that. You can change the pole, right? You can change the bait. You can change the line. You can change all these things. But at some point, sometimes we have to get up and move to a bigger pond, right? And this happens for all of us when we're looking at expansion, right? Is like sometimes I've seen this happen. Okay, this is in regards to friendships. Is you're trying to evolve your consciousness. You're trying to evolve. You want to learn more. You want to grow. You want to experience different. But you recognize, like in your friend group, like you're the one that's like in charge, or you're the master of the friend group. Yeah, it might feel good, but like then you hit a cap. So at some point, you've got to go back to being the student. Right. And we are constantly weaving in and out of these polarities of like master student, master student, master student, master student, the all knowing and I don't know shit, the everything and the nothing, the Sophia, right? And how we navigate both of those polarities and begin to witness them. When can we show up in the master in our mastery sequence? And when can we sit back and go, I need to learn and listen a little bit more. I still have evolution. I don't know everything, especially in regards to spiritual narcissism, which has been up. This thread has been up, spiritual narcissism, and it's been weaving through the masculine collective. Right? And there are still some men that are like, I'm never going to be wrong because I'm connected to the divine and I listen. You can also shut up and allow yourself to be gifted a new perspective with loving kindness. I don't think it's ever important to tell someone to shut up. Guys, be truthful. It's not nice. We want people to be able to speak up, but we want to direct everyone's attention inward to discover what this means. Because spiritual narcissism, there's spiritual abuse that occurs with that. And we see it. If you take someone that's in the knowing and someone that's in the quote unquote not knowing, people take this knowing and then they use it against the not knowing, gaslighting them. You know, putting them into corners of subjugation, making them think like they don't know, constantly giving their power away to the master, to the guru, and it's like, fuck that, take your power back. You know as well. So spiritual narcissism is up. Yeah, I don't say shut up either. I was being silly. I weave in and out of that, and I apologize if that offended anyone, because I can correct my wrongs. And so the spiritual narcissism has been up a lot too, and as a result, there's a lot of people that are having to back off and go, okay, I don't know everything, and as a result, I'm giving myself the opportunity to learn. And so at some moments, we just have to stop and listen. And sometimes we show up and share, right? So that's been another one that's coming through. So I know that this, to switch out of this really quick, I know this is kind of interesting. This is something new. We're just kind of with the field, we're with the energetics, and we're just kind of finding the polarities and just sifting through them. And so in a sense, we're kind of doing like a collective healing in the field. But it's a new way of, it's a way of creation. We call it weaving. So this is Threads of Dreams, right? And it's basically, we're just kind of like going through and listening to what comes through in the field, and then we just pull it through, and then we activate the new from within, and we clear it out, right? It's kind of like a fun way to do it. And I'll be sharing space with a sister pretty soon about this. I'm really excited. So we're just kind of weaving through some stuff, weaving through some stories. So how's everyone feeling? How's everyone doing? Deepen the breath and soften. We got caramel M&Ms. All right. Anything else coming up in the collective? No, we've been going for 56 minutes. I was told to go for 45, so we went over for 11 minutes. Thank you, guys. I just wanted to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. An hour later. Wanted to show up. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for staying up late and doing this with me. I was up. Today's been an interesting day. A lot of transitional energies. Kind of sad, but we're good. We're happy. We're happy when we know it. And we're finding our joy through the experience and the expression, right? So yeah, man. We're still weaving and unweaving. We're still activating. Some of us are still mourning, still grieving. There's a lot of stuff going on. And even in my own life, I'm seeing this being affected by, there's a lot of people being affected right now by what's been going on. So just keep playing, unraveling, keep diving into your knowing, stay prosperous, stay adventurous, stay glorious, stay divine, stay loving, stay soft, stay kind, stay you. Yeah. Me too, Patrice. Sad but happy too. Yeah. We have to take moments to celebrate, guys, as well. Anyways, I love you guys. I love you all. We're just going to separate all the realities now. Closing out any timelines, closing out any portals, any gateways, any spiritual windows. All right. Gifting you the opportunity to go back to your universe in peace, in love, in harmony, and to represent truth and the quality of higher light or love or whatever light quotient you need in this now moment to experience your best version of your reality. As you're choosing it for you, for your soul's evolution, your soul's growth, your soul's expansion, based upon freedom, free will, autonomy, and sovereignty. So I send you all back with love. Go play, go dance, have fun in dream time. I'll see you guys soon. And as these things are unwoven from our lives, we will weave in the new and invite in a whole new orchestration into our life. New belief systems, new everything. Love you guys. Be free, be safe, be loving, be kind. I'll see you guys soon.